And then we'll play around with these environment settings later on. But right now, let's stick to what's going on up here. What we're going to need next is we are going to need the maps that we've already generated. So I'm going to hit the space bar key here, go to bitmap, save from file, and then I'm going to have to go to my demo folder. And let's go to the texture. And it's going to ask me if I want to link it, which means it's referencing the file. So I'm not actually embedding it inside of Substance and then baking it in the material. It has to be linked. So it's linking and calling on the image on my desktop or in my directory. But I'm going to say import. I want this saved into the Substance file just in case I end up moving it or reorganizing or whatever, that when I open up this Substance, it's always going to be there. So I'm going to import the resource instead of linking it. All right, so now we have our map, and the first thing I'm going to do, just to show you how these connections work, let's zoom out here so I can see them all. I know this top one is the diffuse, and if you don't know which node is which, you can always highlight it. Right, see its attribute and see the identifier at the top, whether it's opacity or diffuse or whatever. So this color that we painted in Polypaint is going to be our diffuse color. I'm going to click on this orange dot. I'm going to drag a little line out here and drop it into diffuse. You're going to see my model. Well, you're not going to see it update. And the reason why you're not seeing it update is because I haven't assigned this Substance material to this model yet. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this guy and just drop it on the model. And there we go. Now we have our color going. All right, but we have all these other attributes that we need maps for. I generated a normal map out of ZBrush, but you can also bake maps directly within Substance. So it gives you another option for baking maps. So to do that, let's highlight the model, and I'm going to say bake model information. And I already have these guys turned on in here, but you want to click on this little plus button, and it'll ask you what you want to bake. So I'm going to say normal map from mesh, because I'm going to bake a normal map in here. And then I also want to bake a height map from the mesh. So the height map is like a bump, right? So I'm going to go ahead and bake both of these maps. And actually, let's just do one at a time. Let's do the normal map first. Let's click on OK. Oops, I forgot to load up my high res. Actually, I think it was loaded up by default. So let me see if I can cancel out of this, because this could take some time. Anyways, I'll do this again so that you guys can see where to load up the high res. Let's give it just 1 second. Let's go ahead and delete that, and we'll regenerate it. So let's remove that. Yes, I want to remove that. Let's go one more time. So bake model information. We got normal map turned on. I have a 4096 by 4096 normal map that I'm doing here. So I'm going to try and get a nice high-res map. Over here, high definition meshes. Let's go ahead and delete the one I have in there. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click here and say from file, or I can choose from an imported reference that I've already imported into the project. Go to desktop, and There's my high res, and this is the 5 million poly version of my soft body mesh. Now, I'm going to mention this while this is baking too. Important. Down here at the bottom, we have anti-aliasing in our map. You do want anti-aliasing turned on. You don't want, you want to avoid having no anti-aliasing. So I go with 2x2. I find that 8x8 tends to wash out my normal map and wash out my details. So let's go 2x2. Click on OK. Now it'll bake. So you can see I'm only working with one mesh right now. Obviously, I don't have my shell pieces on this guy. I would like you to focus on one mesh, and we'll contend with the other mesh pieces on Monday, because we're going to have to, I'm trying to simplify things so that you guys are able to grasp this easily. And just a question, how many of you guys have actually worked with Substance already? I mean, Christian, you said you have a subscription, and how have you guys played with it at all? Because I'm starting from the ground up for you guys, because I know that, okay. Okay, cool. So is anything that I've shown you guys so far new to you? Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so here's my normal map. And I'm just going to drag that into my outliner here. And let's find the normal map node, the output node. These are our output nodes, right? And now I'm going to connect this in. And we should see an update in the detail here. I save out my work too. So let's go to demo substance 2. All right. So let's see what our normal map looks like. Well, it looks like there's a lot of cleanup needed in some areas, like in here. So alternatively, I can also come in and say add node bitmap from file, go to the desktop, oops, go to my substance work folder, and let's see, let's go to my original normal map that I generated inside of ZBrush, and I'll import that resource. There we go. So there's our ZBrush normal map, and I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it from this node. And I'm going to do that by highlighting the path, hitting delete, and let's shove this off to the side. And then bring our ZBrush one in here. And let's take a look at our ZBrush normal map, which is a bit cleaner. Let's zoom out here, and just so we could see the detail and see how our normal map is working on the surface, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the color right now. And I'm going to go ahead and hit spacebar, and I'm going to say uniform color. And let's change that to grayscale and bring that all the way up into white, and then drop that into the diffuse. So now we can see what the normal map is doing. We can compare, do a side-by-side comparison between the two maps. I don't necessarily have to disconnect this for a second. Just go ahead and drag this here and see which ones are working, what's working better. And honestly, my substance map is looking better. If I look between the two, like I'm getting some gnarliness here of my UVs, my scenes. There, my scenes aren't even visible. So actually I'm going to run with I'm going to run with the substance map, right? So it's always good to compare whether you're using X normals or you're using Maya transfer attributes or you're using substance or you're using ZBrush. You always want to compare and get the best result. And it may vary from project to project, right? So yeah, let's run with the substance normals. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy, my ZBrush one, and bring this guy back in. And let's go ahead and relink our color. And I'll set this guy out to the side because I may use him again. So a quick question for you guys, because I'm going to continue to build out some maps and bake out some maps, but I want to know, is any of this confusing to you so far? I mean, is working with an outliner or working in an outline method, have you guys done that before, working with a node-based interface, like the Hypershade inside of Maya? Or if you've played with Nuke, or if you played with Unreal. How many of you have worked with something like this yet? Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, just checking. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to bake in another map now. I'm going to do my ambient occlusion. And let's go ahead and do this in one go because these go pretty fast. So let's bake model information. We don't need a normal map. We do want ambient occlusion. And let's go ahead and let's see if I can delete this. There you go. Let's delete all these. Let's do it fresh. So ambient occlusion. We don't want it from mesh, so ambient occlusion, and we want it from a resource. Let's try that one more time. This is supposed to ask me. Nope, it's going to go over here. So we're going to get it from a normal map. All right, we're not going to get it. We're not going to pull the ambient occlusion from the mesh itself. We could pull it from the low res, but it's not going to give us a very good map. We want to pull it from the normal map. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And instead of from file, I'm going to say from resource because it's already embedded in the substance project over on the left in our Explorer. So there we go, and there is our ZBrush map, and there is our substance map. We're going to use our substance map. Click on OK, and then let's go ahead and do a height map. And we're going to do that one from mesh. There we go. The same mesh is already loaded up in here. We don't have to reload it. And let's see, what else do we need? Curvature. Don't really need curvature because we're not using curvature. I think that's it. So let's go ahead and click on OK. And now it's going to bake out those maps. The height map, oh, and I'm going to crash. Awesome. All right, so that is the way that I wasn't planning on crashing multiple times today. But it's okay, I could roll with it. I am going to do something once I reopen this. Because now I have to rearrange all my freaking windows again. I'm just going to get really good at rearranging windows is what's going to happen. All right, drop in there. All right, let's bring this guy right into there. There we go. There we go. All right, we're back in business. So I'm going to go ahead and avoid the height map because I know that's what caused the crash. We won't use that output, or we'll use something else on that output rather than the high resolution mesh. Yeah, it's absolutely like the Hypershade in Maya, Claude. All right, so let's go ahead and bake that ambient occlusion. That ambient occlusion dough. And the thing is, when you bake ambient occlusion from a map, it goes by really, really fast. It generates near like, it takes like a couple seconds. So from resource, there we go. Click on OK, and we should get our AO in just a second. I wonder if it's crashing because of the broadcast too. There we go. There's our ambient occlusion. All right, so now let's drag that into our workspace here. And let's see our result. There's our AO map, untuned. I'm digging it. And let's find our ambient occlusion node here. And I'm just going to plug that in. And we probably won't see a difference here on the surface because, like I said, my video card does not support it. It's just one of the benefits of having a Mac. But if you have an NVIDIA graphics card on your PC, you should see it no problem. Maybe the newer NVIDIA cards for MacBook Pros would support it. All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? We have specular, opacity, emissive, height, displacement, right, and ambient. Displacement we won't be using because that's another unsupported one, but you could bring in a displacement map and use it there. And let's see, for our specularity, I have something in mind for that, but we'll get to that in a bit. And let's see, emissive, I actually created a map, so let's go from File, and there's my emissive. So the emissive being any part of the color you want to be illuminated. Opacity and emissive. There we go. Now the little orange parts on my guy are emitting light. If I really wanted to double up on this, and I wonder, did I throw ambient in here? I sure did. I can also plug this in. So I can plug each one of these guys into multiple output nodes or multiple input nodes, right? So now not only is it using the emissive, but it's also using ambient to get the effect of glowing.